What does progress mean? How long can it take to build a professional relationship? Well, on my first visit to my first prospect, I froze after his second question. I wasn't prepared enough and my boss had to step in. 5 years later, I sold a 200,000 piece of equipment to the same man. Yes, today I want to share with you the story of my first prospect. For context, I just started my first business-to-business sales job. It was about selling recycling equipment in the waste management field. After a few weeks of training, my boss and I went on the field to visit some clients and potential clients. I was in charge of locating and prospecting new leads in the given area. So I did. And I found 3 possible clients in the area that we were going. I managed to secure 2 meetings from those 3 possible. Anyway, we arrived at one of these prospects. My first official meeting with a potential customer. I had my speech prepared, of course, because that's what you do when it's your first time doing something. You make a plan, hoping to get most of it. And I wanted to prove my abilities, of course. The meeting started and I started my speech. It was more like a presentation with me asking questions to gather information. See, the plan was good. You always need to listen to your prospects and gather information. And I stand by that even now. However, at one point in the conversation, the prospect asked me a question and I started to respond, but I realized I was giving the wrong answer. Then I just froze. I didn't know the right answer. Looking back, I could have mentioned that I don't know the answer at this time and know the question down and came back with the answer later on. Or I could just have casually asked my boss. After all, he was there with me. But no. My brain chose to freeze. Thankfully, my boss stepped in and saved the day. Yay! They continued the conversation while I added bits of information here and there. But I felt so ashamed. The thing is, yes, I could have done better. But these things happen. It was my first meeting and I was just a couple of weeks into this whole new world of equipment and recycling. I'm going to tell you now how I sold an equipment worth over 200,000 euro to this same prospect. The short explanation is that I build a feeling with my prospect. The feeling is what I call the trust, confidence and connection you build with your prospects and clients. The professional relationship. If you want to know more, you can watch the video that pops up on the screen. The long version, well, here's how it happened. Over the next 5 years, I built the feeling with this client. Whenever I was in the area, I stopped by and I visited him as well. We were always discussing equipment, how his business is going and the waste management business in general. He was interested in buying an automatic equipment. I made a few offers for him, but he always said that they were too expensive. Keep in mind that at this time I was selling kind of low price equipment. In that time, I attended every waste management fair and at some of them I ran into him. I think the real bond happened when at a 3-day conference we ate together multiple times. In the recycling business, there are these conferences where people from the business were invited and you spend the days talking about waste management, laws and rules and so on. But usually after 4 p.m. there was nothing to do, so people gathered to have a glass of wine or a beer and talk. One evening I found myself at the same dinner table as him, but this time his wife and daughter were there as well. And from business we shifted to personal discussion and we bonded pretty well. From that conference on, we met at almost every waste management event. In the meantime, my company changed the factories we were selling from and we left the low quality and low price equipment behind. We were selling premium equipment now, expensive but not the most expensive in the world. I showed these guys the changes we were making. How nice and good the equipment is at this factory, how they are building them, the difference of power and productivity from other competitors. Basically, I was hyped and passionate about the new factory and the new equipment, and he became passionate as well. I made an offer and he took around 3 months to think and secure the funds to buy it. He bought it as soon as all the papers were in order. No negotiations. Over 200,000 euros, no questions asked. After the deal was closed, I asked, as I always do, if he had any offers from the competition. He showed me the offers, around 3, some cheaper, some almost the same price, but he bought from me. Was the product that good? Well, yes it was, but it wasn't only the product that won me this deal. It was the relationship I had with the guy, the relationship that I built with him over the span of 5 years. The fact that I was so passionate about those equipments that I influenced him as well. The truth is, I didn't know from the start that he will ever buy from me. But I did my job and saw him as a potential client in the future. His company grew, so he needed to change the equipment. And in the long run, it was worth my time. The lessons I want you to take from this story are: Number 1. Progress takes time. Success in sales or any other career isn't always instant. Good things takes time. Number 2. Relationship matter more. Believe me, the feeling that I am babbling about. Make it your most important. Number 3. Your passion can be contagious. Learn your products by heart and be passionate about them. Your potential clients can feel when you don't trust your own products. Last but not least, number 4. Failure is part of the process. My first meeting was a disaster, but it didn't define how I do things. It was just the beginning. What about you? Have you ever had a moment where a long-term connection paid off? Let me know in the comments and have a good day.